Fun fact, I recorded a version of this video the day this video dropped.
The dog one is waking, and we can't keep it secret any longer. The Wheel of Time teaser drops tomorrow.
Look at Moraine, look at her go, look at her go. But anyway, I recorded my video in like 30 minutes after I saw that and was like, all right, I'm gonna have to scrap that. Can't really use that video. Gotta wait and see what the trailer brings. And of course, what the trailer, or the teaser trailer, brought was excitement and wonder and glory and delight and hype and oh, it was amazing. It was amazing. If you saw any of my videos from last week, you know what I'm talking about. It was fantastic. But the hype has now died down, and I want to get back to my regular topics. I'm kidding, of course. The hype has not died down. I am watching the trailer still multiple times a day. But, well, there's still some stuff that I wanted to talk about. So I guess let's get into it.
Let's be nerdy, babe. Let's be nerdy, let's be nerdy. Let's be nerdy, babe. Let's be nerdy, babe. Let's be nerdy, let's be nerdy, babe.
So I am obviously very excited for the upcoming Wheel of Time show. And so far, what I've seen from, official sources like Rafe Judkins or the Wheel of Time Twitter account, Sarah Nakamura, the superfan who is a book consultant, and of course the trailer, everything that they've put out has made me feel really positive and confident that the show is going to be good. They seem to be very sincere in their love for the story and of these characters, and the characters to me are the most important part of the story. And I think they're going to do their best to do them justice. But with the show getting ever closer, I thought it was a good time to put some of my concerns out there. But before I get into it, of course, spoiler warning. I'm going to be hitting on some kind of like tangentially specific plot points. So if you haven't finished the entire series, I'm going to recommend not watching this video. Just smash that like button, subscribe, and come back when you're done, I guess. And the rest of you also like and subscribe and all that stuff. But yeah, spoiler warning. Okay, so yeah, like I said, I have concerns, but most of these are concerns that, when I was on the Dusty Wheel, I used this metaphor. They're concerns that I have that you get, like, when you're flying on a plane. If you start thinking about it, at a certain point, you might start to think, I'm in a metal tube in the sky, and there's, like, mechanical and electrical things going on in the wings, and I don't understand them, and I start to freak out a little bit, because I don't understand how I'm flying, other than a basic rudimentary understanding of Bernoulli's principle or whatever. But it's only a concern if I think about it too much. And if I don't, I can calm myself down by remembering that there are people who do understand how planes work. And they're the ones who built the plane. And they're the ones who are flying the plane. I don't have to fully understand the details. I can trust that they do. For most of these concerns that I'm going to outline, that's the kind of concern I have. So I do still have trust in Rafe Judkins and the team and all the actors and all the writers. It's just occasionally my mind will go, but what, and I calm myself down. So with that, I'll start. My first major concern is, how the hell are they going to show wolf speech? We know already that Perrin is going to be a wolf brother, and his communication with the wolves is pretty important and integral to the story. How are they going to do it? Wolves with moving mouths, I think, would just look stupid. And just, sort of airy, floaty voices that they have, like, maybe echoey voices or whatever. I think that would sound cheesy. They could do visual montages, I guess, of things, but when I imagine that, it kind of comes across in my mind as looking kind of cheesy and camp, and not in a good camp way. Basically, anything I can envision, it doesn't work in my head. But, well, like I said, this is one of those ones where when I try and think about it too much, and if I start to get concerned, I go, okay, well, this is why I don't work in television, I guess, because I can't think of a way to solve this problem. It's only a concern if I focus on it too much. I mostly have confidence in the WoT on Prime team to have figured this out and how to do it in a way that does justice to what we see happening in the books. The next concern on my list is kind of in the same vein as the wolf talk, and that is the gray men. Now, this one, the easiest way, actually, to fix this problem is to just not have gray men in the show. And they might do that, it would be fair. There's plenty of other shadow spawn. You don't need to have all of them. But gray men are just really, really cool. I love how they are written in the books. You know, how they're just sort of inserted into descriptions as objects, and our protagonists and main characters can somehow pull them out and see them. It's so cool every time it happens. But I cannot imagine how to pull this off in a visual medium. Like, so people that are so normal that you can't see them, that's not a thing in real life. It's magical, but if you put someone on screen, we're going to see them, especially if they're carrying weapons. So again, when I've tried to imagine how they do it, it's been things like, okay, so maybe you can only see them from a specific angle, or maybe they're semi-transparent, or maybe they flicker in and out of view or whatever. But when I try and picture it in my mind, I don't like how it looks. So yeah, it's a concern. But once again, I kind of think that if WoTTube Prime decides to include gray men, they probably have a really cool idea of how to do it that is better than anything that I could come up with. Another concern I have is about the age of the cast. Now, not that they age them up. Actually, to be honest, I'm really thankful that they aged them up. I fully 100% agree with a comment by Rafe Judkins where he said, if you have a show with a bunch of teenagers, it can come across as YA. And in my mind, like, it kind of looks like the CW. You know, I don't want people to dismiss this show because it ends up looking like a high school drama in a fantasy setting. What I'm concerned about is this. In the books, the entire story takes place over 2 years or so. But, of course, to film the story, it's going to take way more time than that. If the show is successful, this could go on for like almost a decade. The cast is going to age. And to be honest, actually, I'm inclined to think that this is another reason that they aged up the cast. People change physically a lot more between their teens and their 20s than they do between their early 20s and their late 20s. So aging them up sort of stops that physical transition that people just naturally go through from happening while we're watching on screen. But the thing is, they still do change. People still age. Like, the change, it won't be as drastic as it would between teens and 20s, but it's still going to be there. I don't know. Okay, maybe calling this a concern isn't exactly right. It's more of an I wonder. I wonder if they're going to expand the timeline. Like, not add things to the story, but make it so that the story takes place over a longer period of time. Or maybe just not focus on the amount of time that is covered so that it's not an issue. I honestly don't know. Okay, so that does lead me into my next concern, which is also timeline related. One of the best things about the Wheel of Time is how intricately woven the plotline is. Characters that are introduced very early don't become important until much, much later. Sometimes they disappear for like several books in between. I'm talking your Varens, your Sheriams, your Agianas, your Baeldomans. These characters are important, but they disappear for huge swaths of the story. I do not know how you get an actor to sign on for a role early on and then say, okay, thanks, that was great. We'll call you again in 2 years. For example, one of my favorite fan castings for Varen is Octavia Spencer. Now, I doubt that's going to happen. Although, we did actually get Rosamund Pike, so who knows? But okay, I doubt you could lure an actor of the status of Octavia Spencer for a role that she would have to commit to, but also have to be aware that she's just not going to be in the show for massive amounts of time. So okay, then the answer is to get good but unknown actors to play these roles, right? But you're again asking a person to commit to come back years later. What if in the meantime their star rises and they become a famous actor or actress and they get their own show or something and they don't want to come back? Or what if they quit acting? I know recasting a role is always an option, but I personally always find that a bit jarring. So I guess the way to fix this, I think, would be to expand these roles so they don't disappear for as long. But there's just so much Wheel of Time story that expanding anyone's role means eating into some of the existing story. So I don't know. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I've seen big stars have recurring roles on other shows, but Wheel of Time is different. Wheel of Time is really, really intricate. It's not like Case where you could call up Octavia Spencer 2 years after she starred as Varen and it would be okay if she didn't want to come back. It'd be okay if she said no. You'd need to know that she would be willing to come back. It's necessary for the plot. So, yeah, it's kind of a concern. And I think the way to fix this one is with the writing and the plotting. So, as I said, these characters don't disappear for quite so long, but that means that sometimes I think their returns and their reveals won't have as much of a punch to them. So, yeah, like I said, it's a bit of a concern that I have. The next concern I have falls into a very different category. All of the ones that I've mentioned before are ones that are likely solvable by people who know way more about how to make a good show than I do. And so while I am concerned about those things, I have faith. I trust, in WoT on Prime. I trust in the writers. I trust in all of the producers and the actors involved. This next one, I'm just really concerned, and I'm hoping that all that we've heard is wrong. I'm talking about the Laila Ibarra rumors. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, one of the casting leaks that we heard about is the casting of someone playing the role of Laila Ibarra. And the most common consensus, I think based on leaked scripts and stuff, is that she will be playing the part of Perrin's wife, like in season 1, like episode 1, which means Perrin is married at the beginning of the show. And that she will die in the Winter Night attack, possibly by Perrin's hand. I hate this idea. Unlike the previous concerns, I actually get why they would do this. It's not like the plane where I don't understand the parts. I understand all the parts of this one. It's angsty. It would give Perrin a lot of character development right away. It would go far in explaining emo Perrin later on. Hell, when Perrin's family dies in Shadow Rising, this would make that land harder because we'd already seen him go through something like this. And I always found it weird that we never actually got to see any of his family before we were grieving their deaths. But I still hate this as an idea. I hate the idea of creating a character. Granted, there is a character with that name in the books, but she's not Perrin's wife, and she's whatever. I hate the idea of creating this character just to fridge her. If it was in the books, I would be okay with it. I mean, you probably would have already seen a video from me about, like, their early fridging in the story, but I would be okay with it being in the show. But I just, no. Please don't make up a character just to fridge her. Do not invent a female character just to have her die in order to further the plot development of a significant male character. Please. Please don't do this. Please. I am crying into the void because season 1 is already finished filming. It has happened. It is too late. And I am trembling in anticipation and fear. My final concern, or at least the final one I can think of right now. I'm sure I have others, but these are the ones in my head right now. It's a very, very personal concern. I'm talking about Cadsuane. Specifically Cadsuane's casting, if she is going to be on the show. Every time I see, like, her name come up in, like, a fan casting list, the name Jorge Agudelo comes up. And just, please no. Please do not do this to me. Don't get me wrong. I love Jorge Agudelo. She is incredible. But that is the problem. I just don't want to be attracted to Cadsuane. And if Jorge Agudelo plays her, that will happen. This woman does things to me. Her voice, this is a very personal concern. Please just think of me. She could play anyone else. Anyone. I already had issues with finding myself occasionally agreeing with Cadsuane on my latest reread. I do not need to add being attracted to her to that. So please, just think of me. Okay, so yeah, those are some of the concerns that I have about the upcoming show. How about you? What concerns do you have? Let me know in the comments below. Or, if you want to talk about it in a more interactive environment, come join my Discord. It's a great place for conversation, so I'll link to that in the description below. And if you want to support me and my channel, you can always check out my Patreon. I say this all the time, but my patrons, you guys are incredible. I am so thankful to all of you. So I will link to my Patreon as well in the description below. And with that, I will end this here. Like, subscribe, and stick around for the art credits. Bye!